Laura Grant stepped off the transport shuttle and immediately felt the wrongness of the place. The facility sat alone on the barren moon of Theta 7, a gray structure against darker gray rock. No other buildings. No training grounds. Just cold metal and silence. She adjusted the strap of her equipment bag and walked toward the main entrance. The doors slid open with a hiss that echoed across the empty landing pad. Inside, the corridor stretched long and sterile. White walls. Bright lights. The smell of recycled air and something else. Something chemical. A Quilarian officer waited just inside. His scaled skin reflected the harsh lighting, and his 3 eyes tracked her movement with an intensity that made Laura's instincts prickle. She had learned to trust those instincts during her 6 months at the Defense Academy. "Cadet Grant," the officer said. His translator box rendered his clicks and whistles into flat, emotionless words. "Follow me to Evaluation Chamber 7. Laura nodded and fell into step behind him. Her boots echoed on the metal floor. Every sound seemed too loud in the empty hallway. She passed door after door, all sealed. No windows. No other personnel. The academy had been full of noise and movement and life. This place felt like a tomb. "Where are the other cadets?" Laura asked. "Your evaluation is individual," the Quilarian replied without turning. "Special assessment for Deathworld candidates." That word again. Deathworld. The other species used it to describe Earth, a planet they considered impossibly hostile. Too much gravity. Too much oxygen. Predators everywhere. Weather that could kill. Laura had grown up there and never thought twice about it. But to the galaxy's other races, humans came from hell. They reached a large chamber at the end of the corridor. The Quilarian gestured inside. "Wait here. Your evaluators will arrive shortly." Laura entered. The room was circular, perhaps 20 meters across. Empty except for a single chair in the center. No equipment. No terminals. No training materials. Just bare walls and that chair sitting alone under a spotlight. The door sealed behind her with a heavy thunk. Magnetic locks. She heard them engage. Laura walked to the center of the room, but she did not sit. Something in her gut screamed danger. She had felt this way once before back on Earth, when she had been hiking and stumbled too close to a mountain lion's den. That same electric sensation crawling up her spine. She turned slowly, scanning the walls. There. High up. Small dark circles that could be camera lenses. Or weapon ports. Her heart rate increased. Her body preparing for something her conscious mind had not yet fully accepted. The lights brightened suddenly, painfully bright. Laura raised her hand to shield her eyes. Her pupils contracted against the glare. "Cadet Grant." A voice boomed from speakers she could not see. Different from the Quilarian. This one belonged to a Haxorian, she thought. Their vocal patterns had a distinctive warble. "You have been selected for termination." Laura's blood went cold. What? "Humanity presents an unacceptable risk to coalition stability," the voice continued. "Your species is too aggressive. Too adaptable. Too dangerous. We are correcting this mistake before it spreads." "This is insane," Laura shouted. "The coalition accepted Earth's application. We passed every trial. Every evaluation." "A mistake," the voice said. "One we now remedy." Laura ran. Pure instinct. She sprinted toward the door she had entered through, knowing even as she moved that it would not open. But humans ran anyway. Humans always tried. The first shot hit her in the chest. Plasma fire burning white-hot. The impact threw her backward. Pain exploded through her rib cage. She fell hard, the back of her head cracking against the metal floor. The second shot caught her left shoulder before she could even process the first wound. The smell of burned flesh filled her nostrils. Her own flesh. Laura tried to get up. Her body screamed in protest. Blood spread across the white floor beneath her. So much blood. Red against white. She could see it pooling. The third shot took her in the abdomen. Lower right quadrant. The agony was beyond anything she had imagined. Beyond anything her training had prepared her for. She collapsed completely. Her vision tunneled. Gray creeping in from the edges. Her ears rang from the impacts and the sound of her own heartbeat thundering in her skull. Laura lay still. Every breath was fire. Every heartbeat sent fresh waves of pain through her torn body. She wanted to scream but could not find the air. Footsteps. Multiple sets. The magnetic locks disengaged. The door opened. "Confirmed hits," someone said. A new voice. 3 direct plasma strikes. Core temperature sufficient to compromise internal organs. "The human is neutralized?" That warbling Haxorian voice again. "Affirmative. No species survives 3 plasma shots at this range. Vital signs failing. Laura kept her eyes closed, kept her breathing shallow. Every tiny movement cost her, but she forced her body to stillness. Something primal had taken over. Some ancient survival mechanism buried deep in human DNA. Play dead. Let the predator think you are finished. Dispose of the remains once termination is complete, the Haxorian ordered. Then purge all records of this facility's activation. Commander Thrakis wants no trace. What about the other humans at the Academy? Already in motion. Separate accidents. Training mishaps. They will all be eliminated within the cycle. Earth will receive their bodies and our regrets. By the time they suspect, it will be too late. Laura's rage burned hotter than her wounds. Not just her. All of them. Every human cadet. This was genocide. The footsteps retreated. The door sealed again. Silence returned except for the hum of the lights and the wet sound of Laura's labored breathing. She opened her eyes. The ceiling swam above her. White tiles. So clean. So sterile. A place designed for murder. Laura tried to assess her injuries. The chest wound had hit right of center. Missed her heart but definitely punctured her lung. She could feel the strange sensation of air escaping where it should not. The shoulder was bad but not fatal. The abdominal wound was the worst. She could feel internal bleeding. Lots of it. Any other species would be dead. Should be dead. Probably was dead at this point. But Laura was human. From Earth. From the Deathworld. Her body was doing things the aliens did not understand. Her blood clotted faster than theirs. Her cells began repair processes before she had even stopped bleeding. Her adrenal system dumped chemicals into her bloodstream that kept her conscious despite massive trauma. Her nervous system could function through pain that would send other species into fatal shock. She was dying. But dying slowly. And humans were very, very good at being stubborn. Laura turned her head slightly. Fresh pain lanced through her. She ignored it. There. 5 meters away. A medical kit on the wall. Required in all coalition facilities. Standard equipment. 5 meters might as well be 5 kilometers. But Laura had to try. Because she was human. And humans did not give up. Not ever. Laura lay in the spreading pool of her own blood and listened. The facility hummed around her with mechanical indifference. Ventilation systems. Power conduits. The distant thrum of a reactor core. She focused on these sounds to stay conscious. To stay alive. Her right lung had collapsed. She could feel it. Each breath came from only one side of her chest. The pain was extraordinary. But pain was just information. Her instructors at the academy had taught her that. Pain told you what was broken. It kept you alert. It kept you fighting. Time passed. She did not know how much. Minutes felt like hours when every second brought fresh agony. Then voices. Outside the chamber. Coming closer. The human disposal team arrives in 3 hours, someone said. A chittering voice. Insectoid species. Probably Krilthan. We wait here until then? Commander Thrakis wants confirmation of death first, another replied. Quilarian. Maybe the same one who had led Laura to this room. Scan the body. Verify termination. Then we seal the chamber until disposal. The door opened. Laura kept her eyes closed. Kept her breathing shallow and irregular. Like someone dying. Like someone who should already be dead. Footsteps approached. She heard the whine of a medical scanner powering up. Scanning now, the Krilthan said. Massive internal trauma. Collapsed lung. Severe hemorrhaging. Core temperature dropping. This one is finished. Good. The others are being handled as we speak. The human at the academy named Tyler. Training accident in the zero-gravity chamber. The one called Susan. Equipment malfunction during EVA practice. They will all look like accidents. Laura's mind burned with fury despite the cold spreading through her limbs. Tyler. Susan. She knew them. Had trained beside them. Shared meals with them. They were going to kill everyone. What about the academy commander? The Quilarian asked. She suspects nothing? Commander Yalara trusts the coalition completely. She approved all the training exercises without question. By the time Earth sends investigators, there will be nothing to find except tragic accidents. Humans are too fragile for military service. That will be the official conclusion. And if Earth retaliates? They are one world. We are thousands. They will accept our explanation or face isolation. Either way, the human problem is solved before it begins. The scanner powered down. The Krilthan made a satisfied clicking sound. This one definitely will not be a problem. She has minutes at most. Should we finish her? No. Let her bleed out naturally. Less evidence of execution. Besides, she cannot possibly survive those wounds. The footsteps retreated. The door sealed. The magnetic locks engaged. Laura opened her eyes. Cannot possibly survive. She had heard that before. Humans had been hearing that for their entire history. Cannot possibly survive the Ice Age. Cannot possibly survive the predators. Cannot possibly cross the ocean. Cannot possibly reach the stars. And yet here she was, bleeding out on an alien moon. Still breathing. Still thinking. Still human. Laura turned her head toward the medical kit on the wall. 5 meters away. It might as well be on another planet. But she had to move. Had to try. She rolled onto her side. The world exploded into white-hot pain. Her vision blacked out for a moment. When it returned, she was gasping, drowning in air that would not properly fill her lungs. 1 meter. She had moved 1 meter. Blood smeared across the white floor behind her. 4 meters to go. Laura dragged herself forward. Her left arm would not work properly. The shoulder wound had damaged something important. So she pulled with her right arm. Pushed with her legs. Centimeter by centimeter. Her body leaving a red trail like some massive wounded slug. The pain was beyond description now. Beyond anything she had thought possible. Her nervous system screamed. Every nerve fiber firing distress signals. But Laura's brain did something the aliens did not understand. It compartmentalized. It took the pain and put it in a box and kept functioning anyway. Deathworld evolution. When your planet tried to kill you every day, you adapted or you died. Humans had adapted. Another meter. Then another. Her vision kept trying to tunnel. She fought it. Forced her eyes to focus. Forced her body to move. Finally her hand touched the base of the wall. The medical kit hung 1 meter above the floor. She reached up. Her fingers fell short by centimeters. Laura screamed in frustration and agony. The sound echoed in the empty chamber. No one came. No one cared. She tried again. Braced her back against the wall. Pushed herself up with her legs. Her abdominal wound tore wider. She felt something give way inside. More bleeding. But her hand closed around the kit's handle. She yanked it down and collapsed. The kit clattered beside her. She fumbled it open with shaking hands. Standard Coalition medical supplies. Designed for a dozen different species. Laura grabbed the coagulant spray. It worked on most carbon-based life forms. She prayed it worked on humans. She tore open her uniform over the chest wound. The hole was ugly. Burned and bleeding. She could see exposed tissue. Maybe bone. She did not look too closely. Laura sprayed the coagulant directly into the wound. It foamed and hardened. The bleeding slowed. Not stopped. But slowed. Enough. The shoulder next. Same treatment. The spray stung worse than the original injury. She bit down on her own sleeve to keep from screaming. The abdominal wound was the worst. The biggest. The deepest. She used the entire remaining canister. The foam filled the hole and hardened into a temporary seal. It would not last long. But it bought her time. Laura found a stimulant injector. She jammed it against her thigh and triggered it. Alien chemistry flooded her system. Her heart rate spiked. Her vision sharpened. The gray edges retreated. She would pay for this later. The stimulant was designed for species with slower metabolisms. In a human it was basically poison mixed with adrenaline. But later did not matter if she died now. Laura grabbed the wall and pulled herself up. Her legs shook. Her body threatened to collapse. But she stood. Swaying. Bleeding. But standing. She looked around the chamber with new eyes. Not a victim's eyes. A survivor's eyes. There. An access panel near the door. Maintenance hatch. Every coalition facility had them. Required by regulation for emergency repairs. Laura staggered toward it. Each step was a battle. But she reached it. Her bloody fingers found the release mechanism. The panel popped open. Behind it, a narrow service corridor. Cramped. Dark. But leading away from this death chamber. Laura crawled inside. The space was barely wide enough for her shoulders. Designed for smaller species. Or maintenance drones. She did not care. She pulled herself forward into the darkness. Behind her, the chamber door opened. She heard surprised chittering. Impossible. The human is gone. Find her. She cannot have gone far. Alarms began to wail. Red lights flashed. The entire facility shifted into lockdown mode. Laura kept crawling. Blood dripped from her wounds and painted the maintenance shaft behind her. A trail they could follow. But she would worry about that later. Right now she focused on one thing. moving forward. 1 meter at a time. One breath at a time. The galaxy thought humans were too fragile for the coalition. Thought they could be eliminated quietly. Thought wrong. Laura Grant was going to show them exactly what a Deathworlder could do. Laura crawled through the maintenance shaft for what felt like hours. The passage twisted and turned through the facility's infrastructure. Pipes and cables lined the walls. The air was hot and stale. Her wounds throbbed with every movement, but the stimulant kept her going. Kept her mind sharp despite the blood loss. She reached a junction where 4 passages met. Laura paused and listened. Behind her she heard sounds. Chittering voices. The whir of scanners. They were searching for her. Hunting her. But the maintenance shafts were designed for small repair drones or the slender Quilarians. The larger species could not fit. That gave Laura an advantage. A small one, but she would take it. She pulled herself into the upward passage. Gravity made it harder. Her muscles screamed in protest. But humans had evolved climbing trees to escape predators. Climbing came naturally even with 3 plasma wounds in her body. The shaft opened into a larger service area. Laura dropped down onto a metal grating. Below her, she could see down into the facility's lower levels. Machinery hummed. Coolant systems. Power distribution. Life support. She moved carefully across the grating. Her blood dripped through the holes and fell into the darkness below. More trail for them to follow. She needed to stop the bleeding completely or they would track her forever. A terminal sat mounted on the wall. Standard maintenance access point. Laura limped over to it and activated the screen. Her hands left red smears on the controls. The system required authorization. Laura smiled grimly. The Coalition used standardized security for maintenance systems across all facilities. She had learned the override codes during her technical training at the Academy. The instructors thought they were teaching humans how to repair Coalition equipment. They had actually taught Laura how to hack it. She entered the override sequence. The terminal chimed and granted access. Laura pulled up the facility map first. She needed to know where she was. Where the exits were. The schematic loaded onto the screen. Her stomach sank. The facility was massive. 3 levels above ground. 2 below. She was currently on the 2nd underground level. Every exit showed locked and sealed. Red indicators everywhere. Full lockdown protocol. But that was not what made her blood run cold. She saw the facility designation. Research Station Theta 7. Not a training facility. A research station. She pulled up the station logs. File after file appeared. Project Erasure. Authorization from Coalition Security Council. Targets listed. Human cadets. All 23 of them scattered across different Coalition facilities. Each one assigned to a different station for what they thought were evaluations or special training. Each one marked for termination. Laura read the mission briefing with growing horror. The plan was simple and brutal. Kill all human military cadets simultaneously. Make it look like accidents. Humans were too fragile for military service. That would be the official story. Earth would withdraw from the Coalition in shame. The human problem solved. But there was more. Laura scrolled deeper into the files. Her hands shaking now. Not from blood loss. From rage. This went higher than she thought. Coalition Security Council members. Military commanders. Even some members of the diplomatic corps. They had been planning this since Earth first applied for membership. The acceptance had been a lie. A trap. Get the humans invested. Get them to send their best. Then eliminate them all at once. Commander Thrakis was listed as operational leader. But above him were others. Names Laura recognized from news broadcasts. Important people. Powerful people. She downloaded everything to a data chip from her equipment belt. Evidence. Proof. If she died here, at least someone might find this. Footsteps above her. Laura looked up. Through the grating ceiling she saw shadows moving. Security teams. They were getting closer. She needed to move. But where? The exits were sealed. The whole facility was designed to keep things in. Or keep someone trapped. Laura studied the map again. There. The power distribution center. Main reactor core. Every facility needed one. And every reactor had emergency venting systems. Safety protocols that could not be overridden even during lockdown. If she could reach the reactor level, she might be able to trigger an emergency. Force the vents open. Escape through the cooling system. It was insane. The vents were designed to exhaust superheated plasma in case of reactor failure. They would be hot enough to melt most species instantly. But Laura was human. Earth humans evolved sweating to cool their bodies. They could tolerate heat that would kill others. Maybe. Possibly. She was lucky and very, very stupid. Laura moved toward the access ladder leading down to the reactor level. Her leg nearly gave out. The stimulant was wearing off. Her body was crashing. She grabbed another injector from her belt and jabbed it into her thigh. Her heart hammered. Her hands shook worse now. Too many stimulants. She was poisoning herself. But dead from drugs or dead from plasma fire. Either way was dead. At least the drugs let her keep moving. She climbed down the ladder. Each rung was agony. Her shoulder wound reopened. Fresh blood soaked her uniform. The coagulant foam was failing. The reactor level was hot. Incredibly hot. The air shimmered. Most species would need environmental suits down here. Laura just felt her skin prickle with sweat. Her body automatically trying to cool itself. The reactor sat in the center of a circular chamber. A massive sphere of contained energy. Cables and pipes ran everywhere. Warning signs in a dozen languages. Radiation alerts. Heat warnings. Danger symbols that transcended language. Laura found a control terminal. She accessed the safety systems. Her vision was getting blurry now. The blood loss finally catching up. She blinked hard and focused. Emergency vent protocols. There. She started the sequence. But it required authorization. Command level access. Laura pulled up the personnel files she had downloaded. Found Commander Thrakis' access codes. They worked. The terminal accepted the authorization. Warning klaxons began to wail. A synthetic voice announced in multiple languages. Emergency venting sequence initiated. All personnel evacuate reactor level immediately. Venting in 10 minutes. Footsteps thundered above. Shouts. Confusion. They knew where she was now. But they also knew what she had done. Laura smiled. It hurt to smile. Her face was pale from blood loss. Her uniform was more red than black now. But she smiled anyway. Let them come. Let them try to stop the sequence. It was too late. The reactor was already redirecting energy to the venting system. In 10 minutes those vents would open. Superheated plasma would exhaust into the atmosphere. And Laura would ride that wave right out of this tomb. The door to the reactor level burst open. Guards poured in. Quilarians. Krilthan. A massive Horth in battle armor. They all carried weapons. All pointed at Laura. She raised her hands slowly. Blood dripped from her fingers onto the reactor room floor. You cannot escape, the Horth growled. Surrender now. Laura laughed. Came out wet and painful. You shot me 3 times and I am still standing. You think I am going to surrender? The Horth's weapon charged. The whine of building energy. Laura met his eyes. Human eyes. Predator eyes from a death world where everything tried to kill you. Come get me, she said. The guards rushed forward. Laura dove behind a coolant manifold as plasma fire erupted. The shots hit metal and exploded into sparks. The reactor chamber filled with smoke and the smell of burning circuitry. Laura ran. Not away from them. Toward them. The move surprised everyone. Prey ran away. Victims retreated. But Laura charged straight at the nearest Quilarian guard. He fired twice. Both shots missed. He was aiming where she had been, not where she was going. Laura crashed into him at full speed. Her shoulder drove into his midsection. He went down hard. His weapon skittered across the floor. Laura grabbed it without stopping. Kept moving. The Horth fired. The plasma bolt grazed her leg. New pain added to the collection. Laura ignored it. She rolled behind a support column and came up firing. Her shots were wild, but they forced the guards to take cover. The human is insane, someone shouted. Maybe they were right. Laura felt disconnected from her body now. The pain existed somewhere distant. The blood loss made everything feel dreamlike. But her training remained. Muscle memory. Survival instinct. She needed to reach the upper levels. The security hub. Where Commander Thrakis would be watching. Where the main controls were located. The emergency venting countdown continued. 7 minutes remaining. Laura spotted a service elevator across the chamber. She sprinted for it. Plasma fire chased her. One shot hit her stolen weapon and melted it into slag. She dropped the useless metal and kept running. She reached the elevator and slammed the call button. The doors opened immediately. She threw herself inside and hit the button for level 1. The doors started to close. A Krilthan guard rushed forward. His clawed hand caught the door. Laura kicked him in his segmented face. Art. Human legs carried incredible force. Evolution from thousands of generations of running and jumping and kicking. The guard's mandibles cracked. He fell backward. The doors closed. The elevator rose. Laura leaned against the wall and tried to breathe. Her vision kept fading. She slapped herself across the face. The sting brought clarity. Stay awake. Stay focused. Almost there. The elevator opened on level 1. The security hub was down the corridor. 30 meters. Laura could see it through the reinforced window. Banks of monitors. Control stations. And there, standing in the center, was Commander Thrakis. He was tall for a Haxorian. Nearly 2 meters. His exoskeleton gleamed under the lights. 4 arms, each ending in precise manipulator claws. His compound eyes tracked her approach. The door to the security hub was sealed. Laura did not slow down. She grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and swung it like a battering ram. The reinforced glass cracked. She hit it again. And again. On the 4th impact, it shattered. Laura climbed through. Glass cut her arms. More blood. It did not matter anymore. Thrakis watched her calmly. Impressive, he said. His voice buzzed with harmonics. You should be dead. 3 plasma shots. Multiple additional wounds. Massive blood loss. Yet you stand. I am human, Laura said. Her voice was rough. Damage. We are hard to kill. So I see. A mistake we will not repeat. When Earth sends more of your kind, we will be better prepared. You will not get the chance, Laura said. She attacked. No warning. No posturing. Just violent forward motion. Thrakis was fast. His 4 arms moved in a blur. One caught her punch. Another struck her wounded shoulder. Laura screamed but kept pressing. She wrapped her arms around his midsection and lifted. Thrakis weighed perhaps 80 kilograms. Laura weighed 70. But human muscle density was greater. Human bone structure designed for higher gravity. She lifted him off his feet and drove him backward into a control console. The impact shattered screens. Sparks erupted. Thrakis' exoskeleton cracked. He shrieked and struck at her face with his claws. They raked across her cheek. Drew blood. Laura headbutted him. Her forehead crashed into his compound eyes. The exoskeleton around his visual organs fractured. Thrakis flailed blindly. But he was not finished. One of his arms found her throat. Squeezed. Laura could not breathe. Her vision darkened. She was already weak from blood loss. Oxygen deprivation would finish her in seconds. She stopped trying to pull his arm away. Instead, she found his wounded exoskeleton and drove her thumbs into the cracks. Human hands. Evolved for tool use. For precision. For grip strength that could crush and tear. Thrakis shrieked again. His grip loosened. Laura sucked in air and kept pushing. Her thumbs went deeper. Found soft tissue beneath the armor. She felt things give way. Felt fluids leak across her hands. Thrakis released her completely. Tried to back away. Laura did not let him. She grabbed his head with both hands and twisted. Art. With all the strength left in her dying body. The exoskeleton cracked completely. Thrakis went limp. Laura dropped him and collapsed against the console. Her hands were shaking violently now. Her whole body was shutting down. The stimulants could not keep her going forever. She looked at the security monitors. Saw guards rushing toward this location. Saw the reactor countdown. 4 minutes remaining. But she also saw something else. A red button under a protective cover. Emergency facility protocols. She had seen similar systems during her training. Coalition regulations required them at every military installation. Laura read the label. Facility self-destruct. For use only in case of catastrophic containment failure or enemy capture. She started laughing. It hurt. Everything hurt. But she could not stop. They wanted to erase the evidence. Erase the conspiracy. Make her death look like an accident. But she was going to erase the whole facility instead. Laura flipped open the protective cover. Her bloody finger hovered over the button. Authorization required, a computer voice said. Laura grabbed Thrakis' limp hand and pressed his manipulator claw to the authorization pad. His security clearance was still active. Authorization accepted. Please confirm facility self-destruct. Confirmed, Laura said. Self-destruct sequence initiated. All personnel evacuate immediately. Facility will be destroyed in 15 minutes. The alarms changed pitch. New warnings blared. The lights shifted to emergency red. On the monitors, Laura saw panic. Guards running. Scientists abandoning their stations. Everyone trying to reach the evacuation shuttles. Good. Let them run. Let them feel the fear she had felt. Laura downloaded the conspiracy files from the security hub to another data chip. Backup evidence. She tucked it into her belt next to the first one. The door burst open. 6 guards rushed in. They saw Thrakis's body. Saw Laura covered in blood. Their own commander's fluids mixed with hers. "Stop her," someone shouted. Laura grabbed the fire extinguisher again. She was so weak now. Could barely lift it. But she swung it anyway. Caught the first guard across his helmet. He went down. The others opened fire. Laura felt impacts. New wounds. Or maybe old ones reopening. She could not tell anymore. Pain was everywhere. Everything was pain. She fell. Her legs finally gave out. She hit the floor hard. The guards surrounded her. Weapons pointed down. "Facility destruction in 13 minutes, the computer voice announced calmly. The guards looked at each other. Looked at Laura. Looked at the countdown. They ran. Survival instinct overriding duty. The facility was doomed. Why die with it? Laura lay on the floor and watched them go. Watched the countdown tick away. 13 minutes to escape an exploding facility. While bleeding out. While barely conscious. Impossible. But she was human. Laura forced herself to move. Every muscle screamed. Every nerve burned. But she rolled onto her side and then pushed herself to her hands and knees. Blood pooled beneath her. So much blood. She should be dead. Would be dead soon if she did not move. The facility shook. The self-destruct sequence was already beginning. Somewhere deep below, systems were overloading. The reactor was being pushed past safe limits. In 12 minutes, everything would explode. Laura crawled to the shattered window. Pulled herself through. Glass cut her again. She did not feel it anymore. Just more damage on top of damage. The corridor stretched ahead. Emergency lights flashed red. The alarm wailed without stopping. The sound drilled into her skull, but it also kept her awake. Kept her moving. She needed an exit. Any exit. The main doors would be sealed. Lockdown protocol. But there had to be emergency escape routes. Coalition regulations required them. Laura accessed a wall terminal. Her bloody fingers slipped on the controls. She wiped them on her uniform and tried again. The facility schematic appeared. There. An emergency airlock on the east side. 30 meters from her current position. It would open automatically during self-destruct evacuation. But only for another 8 minutes. After that, everything sealed to contain the explosion. 30 meters. Laura looked down the corridor. It might as well be 30 kilometers. She started walking. Her right leg dragged. Something broken or torn. She grabbed the wall for support. Left a red handprint with each step. 10 meters. The facility shook harder. Lights flickered. A pipe burst overhead and sprayed coolant across the corridor. Laura walked through it. The chemicals stung her wounds. She kept walking. 20 meters. Her vision was tunneling again. Gray creeping in. She could hear her heartbeat. Slower than it should be. Weaker. Her body was failing. Shutting down. Too much damage. Too much blood loss. Laura collapsed. Her legs simply stopped working. She hit the floor face first. Tasted blood in her mouth. Felt her consciousness slipping away. No, not like this. Not when she was so close. She started crawling. Dragging herself forward with her arms. Her legs trailed uselessly behind her. Each movement was smaller than the last. Each one cost more. The emergency airlock was ahead. She could see the green indicator light. 5 meters away. The facility shook violently. An explosion somewhere below. The countdown announced 6 minutes remaining. Laura reached forward. Grabbed the floor. Pulled. Her fingers left streaks of blood. She reached again. Pulled again. Slower now. Weaker. 3 meters. Her vision went completely gray. She could not see anymore. Could only feel the cold floor beneath her. Could only hear the alarms and her own ragged breathing. She reached out blindly. Her hand touched metal. The airlock door. She felt along it. Found the emergency release handle. Laura pulled. Nothing happened. She pulled harder. Used both hands. Her muscles quivered with effort. The handle would not move. Manual override. It required strength she did not have left. Laura screamed. Rage and desperation. She braced her feet against the wall. Put every last bit of energy into pulling that handle. Something in her shoulder tore. Fresh agony. But the handle moved. Slowly. Grinding against damaged mechanisms. Laura pulled until she thought her arms would rip from their sockets. The handle gave way. The airlock door slid open. Laura fell through into the small chamber. The outer door stood before her. Sealed. Reinforced. Designed to withstand the vacuum of space and the heat of atmospheric entry. She looked at it with failing vision. Looked at her broken, bleeding body. Looked at the door that might as well be solid mountain. The facility announced 4 minutes to destruction. Laura laughed. A weak, wet sound. She had come so far. Survived so much. And here she would die. Trapped between two doors. So close to freedom. Her hand touched something on her belt. The plasma cutter. Standard equipment for cadets. She had forgotten about it. A small tool for cutting through cables or thin metal during repairs. It would never cut through a reinforced blast door. But the door was not what she needed to cut. Laura looked at the walls. The airlock chamber was small. Cramped. The walls were standard construction. Reinforced but not blast-proof. Why would they be? The airlocks were designed to keep atmosphere in, not to contain explosions. She activated the plasma cutter. The beam was weak. Designed for precision work. Not demolition. But it was all she had. Laura pressed the cutter against the wall and started cutting. The beam sizzled through the outer layer. Beneath was insulation. Support structures. More layers. The facility shook again. 3 minutes. Laura cut faster. The cutter's energy cell was draining. She had maybe 2 minutes of power left. She traced a rough circle. Large enough for her body to fit through. The wall was thick. So thick. The cutter pushed through layer after layer. Metal. Composite materials. More metal. 2 minutes to destruction. The outer layer of wall began to glow. Laura could see daylight through the cut. Actual daylight from outside. She was almost through. The plasma cutter died. Energy depleted. Laura threw it aside and kicked at the weakened wall section. Once. Twice. Her broken leg sent waves of agony through her body. The wall held. 1 minute. Laura braced her back against the inner door. Drew her legs up. Put both feet against the cut section. She thought about Tyler. About Susan. About all the other humans who had been murdered today. She thought about Earth. About home. About a species that refused to die. She kicked with everything she had left. The wall section exploded outward. The weakened circle of metal tore free and flew into the alien wilderness beyond. Wind rushed into the airlock. Laura fell through the opening. She tumbled down a rocky slope. Hit the ground hard. Rolled. Stopped. 30 seconds. Laura forced herself to crawl. Away from the facility. Toward a cluster of rocks. Some kind of cover. Anything. She reached the rocks and collapsed behind them. Pulled her body into a ball. Covered her head with her arms. The facility exploded. The blast wave hit like a physical thing. Heat and pressure and noise. Laura felt herself lifted and thrown. She hit something hard. Then everything went dark. When she woke, the sky was wrong. 2 small moons hung overhead. Stars she did not recognize. This was not Earth. Not home. Laura tried to move and found she could not. Her body was finished. Completely spent. She could barely breathe. Each breath was shallow and weak. She fumbled at her belt with numb fingers. Found her emergency beacon. Activated it. The signal would reach coalition forces. They would come. Might be loyal officers. Might be more conspirators. She did not know. Did not care anymore. She had survived. The evidence was in her belt. 2 data chips with complete proof of the conspiracy. Proof they could not erase. Laura closed her eyes. Let the darkness take her. Hours later, a coalition rescue ship arrived. The crew stared at the crater where the facility had been. Stared at the human girl lying in the rocks. Covered in blood and burns. Missing pieces. Broken in a dozen places. Still breathing. Impossible, the ship's medical officer whispered. The rescue team loaded Laura onto a stretcher. Found the data chips. Transmitted the evidence immediately. Within hours, the conspiracy began to collapse. Arrests were made. The other human cadets were saved. Earth demanded answers. The Coalition Council had no choice but to provide them. And Laura Grant became a legend. The cadet who was shot 3 times, who survived wounds that should have killed her a dozen times over, who literally ripped her way out of a facility designed to be her tomb. They called her the Deathworlder. The one who would not die. When she finally woke in a Coalition hospital 3 weeks later, the first thing she said was simple. When can I return to duty? Because she was human. And humans never gave up.